Trying to decide whether to book a hotel or an Airbnb for your family? Well, you have come to the right place because over the years we have stayed in both hotels and Airbnbs with our two girls, and I'm here today to share our experiences staying in both so that you can make the best decisions for your family. So before we dive into this video, I also want to make sure that you know that we are not sponsored by Airbnb or any particular hotel brand. This is just how we travel and our own experiences, and I wanted to share them so that you can make the best decisions for you and your family. So let's kick this off by talking about hotels. This is the most common place to stay when you are traveling with your family, and I'm sure that's something that all of us grew up doing because Airbnbs weren't really an option until recently. So you probably have experiences with a hotel before, but here's why you might want to consider staying in a hotel with your family. So sometimes hotels can be a cheaper option compared to Airbnb because they are a smaller space and they might be less susceptible to price gouging for different events or festivals or things that are going on in the city that you're visiting. So take the price into consideration first when you're thinking about staying in a hotel. There are also a lot of perks and amenities that can come with staying in a hotel, such as a fitness room, a free continental breakfast, room service, maid service that you can take advantage of if you need it, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some things, but a lot of these accommodations might be a huge perk for your family and could be a big reason why you choose to stay in a hotel. The free included breakfast can also be a really big perk for some families, especially when staying abroad. Sometimes the food and the groceries in these countries can be more expensive, so if you can find a free included breakfast and you have a larger family, that can save you a lot of money, so it's definitely worth considering when you're booking your trip. Another big perk of staying in hotels is that you might actually be closer to what you're doing in the city that you're visiting. Hotels are everywhere, and although Airbnb has gotten a lot more popular over the last decade or so, they aren't always in the places that you need them to be. So sometimes staying in a hotel is just a more convenient and easy option for your trip. Another reason we might pick a hotel is if we're only staying for a night or two, whether we are going to a sporting event or a family function or something where it's just one night. It's not a big deal whether we are all sharing a room, and it's not worth it to get an entire rental space for only being there for just a short amount of time. And the last reason you might want to consider staying in a hotel is the ease of check-in. There is almost always someone staying at the front desk that can help you to get you checked in, get you your room key, and just knowing they're going to be there can be a really good peace of mind for you, especially when traveling with your kids. A lot of times you might have to meet up with your Airbnb host to get checked in, to get your keys or whatever you might need, and that might not be convenient for you, especially if you're traveling long distances or depending on what time you get there, that might not be as easy. So having someone at the front desk to help check you in can be a huge perk. And one more thing to consider as far as check-in and check-out goes is that hotels can often offer early check-in or late check-out, or if those aren't an option, they can also often hold your bags for you as well. So depending on your travel plans and when you are leaving or how you are getting to and from whichever city you are going to, having that as an option can also be really nice as well. So I'm not going to dwell on the negatives too much, but just a couple things to consider that might make hotels not a great option for you is that hotel rooms are smaller and your kids might have earlier bedtime, so being in one space might not be great. They also might not have a fridge or a microwave, which might be something, especially if you are traveling with small children that need formula or milk or those kinds of things. You might need to have a fridge, and if that's not an option, that can make things kind of tough for you. And also, if you're staying in a major city and you're in a hotel right in the middle of the city, there could be a lot of outside crowd environment noise that could be disturbing when you're trying to sleep. So take those things into consideration for what you choose for your family. All right, now we are going to jump into Airbnbs, but before I get started, I do want to mention that there has been a lot of articles and things that I've been reading lately about Airbnbs and how they are taking over, which can be a positive if you're trying to find a space to stay in, but they're not always taking over in the best way. Apartments are being bought by people in these big major cities that are huge tourist attractions, and instead of having someone live there full time, it is becoming a full-time tourist destination, which is leading to over tourism and all kinds of things. So I think Airbnb is kind of detracting a little bit from what used to make it so great, and I've kind of been wrestling with that myself, and I want these places that we're visiting to stay as untouched by tourism as possible, but at the same time, Airbnbs is something that also is a lot more convenient and helpful for my family and the ages that we're at. So it's a really tough thing and kind of weighs heavy on my conscience, but it is something to keep in mind when you are looking into booking things for your trip. So enough about that. Let's talk about why staying in an Airbnb or some kind of apartment is a better option for you. So kind of like I already mentioned with the negative side of hotels is that Airbnbs are often full apartments or houses that you can stay in where you have multiple bedrooms and a separate space for your kids so that you all don't have to go to bed at 7 o'clock or whatever early bedtime your kids might have, and the grown-ups can stay up, have their own quiet time without kids, and that honestly is the biggest reason why we choose Airbnb at the current phase of life that we're in right now. As I said, we have stayed in both hotels and in Airbnbs, and there have been several nights in hotels where we have put the girls to bed in the same room and we just put our headphones in and watch a movie on our phones or just scroll aimlessly for an hour or two, sip in a glass of wine in the total darkness because there's only one space, and having extra rooms when you have kids can be a huge lifesaver. The larger spaces that come with Airbnbs can also be great if you are traveling with other families or people from your own family, friends, whoever you're traveling with, to have that extra space so everybody has their own room. The kids can go to bed, the adults can hang out, and just being able to all be together and not having to separate to go to your different hotel rooms when the kids go to bed can be really nice for trying to spend that quality time together. Another great thing about Airbnbs is that they often provide a lot of amenities and accommodations for children that can make traveling so much easier. We have stayed in Airbnbs that have pack and plays, that have high chairs. We've even stayed in some that have toys and books for our kids to play with. And especially for the really small babies, a lot of those accommodations can be such a huge game changer. And it's definitely worth looking into when you're doing your research for your trip and your Airbnbs and trying to find one that works best for you to see what they can offer, because those things can be super helpful. And something else that is super helpful when you are traveling with your kids is to have a washing machine. And a lot of Airbnbs often have built-in washing machines in the apartment or in the home, and having that while you're traveling can be amazing. We recently went to Italy and Denmark with our kids, and every single one of our Airbnbs had a washing machine. I don't think all of them had dryers because they're not as common in Europe, but being able to wash your clothes in the middle of the trip can be such a lifesaver. When you are going for 10, 12, 14 days or any kind of extended trip, or just traveling with a child under a certain age that is not particularly neat when it comes to eating or their bathroom habits, having that built-in washing machine is so amazing and can really save on space and stress when it comes to all things kids. So definitely consider finding a space that has a washing machine if that's something that you think you'll need. And one final thing, especially for kids, that can be super nice is that a lot of Airbnbs will have full kitchens for you to use. That includes a refrigerator and or a freezer, an oven, microwave, full sink, sometimes a dishwasher, just all of those things that can be super helpful when you're traveling with kids. As I kind of mentioned with hotels of having free and included breakfast, something that can be nice about Airbnbs is that you don't have to eat out for every meal. You can go to the grocery store, you can get groceries, you can prepare dinner or breakfast, or even just like a quick calm lunch in the middle of the day back in your Airbnb. And we have found that to be something that we have taken advantage of many times on our travels, whether here in the United States or abroad. And it's always a good backup option just in case your plans fall apart for the day. All right, the next reason why you might want to consider staying in an Airbnb is that although I've already talked about how Airbnbs are kind of shifting in what they are compared to what they used to be, but a lot of times Airbnbs are someone's home, it's someone's apartment, and they are just renting it out when they aren't around. So you are in a very unique part of town, you're not in the touristy part of the town, and you can get a just completely different cultural experience. You're truly immersed in this new place, whether it's somewhere in a different state here in the United States or across the world, and you can really get a feel for what it would be like to live in that place. This is one of the things that we love most about Airbnbs, because we don't like to stay in the super touristy spots. We like to feel like we are immersed in the new places that we are going to, and a lot of times we get to see things that most people don't because we aren't staying in the classic touristy spots. We're staying in these separate, different, unique areas of towns, and it has just come to be one of our favorite things about traveling. So if you want to be immersed in the culture and feel like you are really living in the place that you are visiting, Airbnbs or any kind of apartment rental can be a great option for you. And the last reason why you might want to consider Airbnb is that a lot of times Airbnbs can have some awesome views. We have stayed in some really cool Airbnbs that have had incredible, life-changing views. Most of these places were in Italy, and whether it be a balcony or a rooftop terrace, these views have been incredible and have been such a huge game changer in how we have experienced the place that we're in, and it's definitely something that we try to look for when searching for Airbnbs to see if we can find a really cool, unique view that not everybody gets to see when they come to this place. So I think that wraps up our experiences of staying in hotels and Airbnbs. We have stayed and will continue to stay in both in the years to come, but those are just some of our experiences, and those are some things for you to keep in mind as you're making decisions going into your next trip. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you did, we would really appreciate it if you could give us a like. And if you want to follow along for more of our family travel tips or family travel adventures, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can get notified when we post new videos. If you have any other reasons why you love a hotel or an Airbnb, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. We love having other reasons to stay in one over the other, so please share with us our experiences. You can also follow us on Instagram @explore. Thank you so much for watching today, and we will catch you in the next one.